From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, the National Assembly criticizes low implementation of 2024 capital budget. Police arrest a suspected child trafficker allegedly conveying 59 children from Kano to Abuja. Court dismisses Emefiele's application challenging jurisdiction. And 2 killed, 1,000 structures destroyed as wildfires rage in Los Angeles.
In our business news, federal government secures $254 million loan from China Development Bank for Kano-Kaduna Railway project.
On sports news tonight, English Premier League side West Ham United sack manager Julian Tobler-Petogi after just 6 months in charge.
And from Abuja, the nation's capital, the Federal Capital Territory Administration dispels fears arising from the Kuchibuyi explosion.
We start off from the federal legislature, where the National Assembly has raised concerns over the significant imbalance between recurrent and capital expenditure in the 2024 budget, highlighting the insufficient release of funds for capital projects in ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs. This was made known during a joint session involving the chairpersons of the Senate and House Committees on Appropriations and the Presidential Economic Team. The lawmakers revealed that the 2024 budget has achieved only 43% performance overall, with recurrent expenditure at 100% and capital expenditure at a mere 25%. According to a statement released today, Senator Solomon Adiola and Honorable Abubakar Brichi, chairpersons of the Senate and House committees respectively, called for urgent measures to increase capital project funding, emphasizing that these projects have a direct impact on the majority of the population, unlike recurrent expenditures which benefit only a small fraction. Now, Senator Adiola further advocates a reduction of the current 80% allocation for recurrent expenditure to a more balanced 60% for recurrent and 40% for capital, arguing that capital projects are vital for economic growth and public welfare, underscoring the need for immediate fund releases to prevent project abandonment and support the President's renewed hope agenda. Honorable Bichi, who also echoed this position, urged the government to prioritize funding for essential infrastructure projects such as schools, roads, dams and hospitals, which serve the broader population rather than focusing on debt repayments. Responding to these concerns, the Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edu, acknowledged the pending capital releases, but warned against unsustainable spending practices that have caused economic issues in other countries. He, however, assured lawmakers that there are warrants ready for payment once funds become available. The session, which was attended by key government officials, also discussed the impact of waivers and tax holidays on government revenue, signaling a comprehensive review of fiscal policies to enhance budget performance. Now, while the lawmakers in the National Assembly criticized the implementation of the 2024 capital budget, for the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of First Bank of Nigeria Limited, Mr. Olusegun Alebiosho, he believes that despite the difficult economic situation, the financial giant remains poised to work with its customers to achieve both personal and corporate goals. Now, he made this statement during the First Bank of Nigeria PLC's annual economic outlook for the year 2025, which also provided an opportunity for experts in the banking and finance industry, as well as those from non-financial organizations, to give informed contributions looking forward to how the country would fare in the year 2025.
The First Bank of Nigeria PLC's annual Economic Outlook Forum once again brings experts within the banking and finance industry together and have a look into the crystal ball of the country's economy. The past year was a tough one for Nigerians across board, raising serious concerns. Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, First Bank of Nigeria Limited, Mr. Olusegun Alebioshu, however, assures customers of the bank's continued support.
This event holding today and its chosen team, Nigeria 2025 Path to Economic Rebound and Recovery, reflect on our institution's understanding of the domestic realities, but more importantly, our readiness to partner with our customers to identify emerging opportunities within the economy. We properly equipped towards achieving both personal and corporate goals in 2025.
Guest Speaker Biodun Adedipe, a veteran in the Nigerian banking and finance industry, sees pressure on forex as a major factor that would determine growth in 2025.
If the economy is going to grow as we expect this year, certainly there will be some pressure in the FX market, no doubt, because most of the inputs for manufacturing to start with are still imported, okay? And then secondly, we still import a lot of things that we consume.
He adds that 2025 is a year of recovery, given opportunities available within the economy.
Now, 24 has proven to be a year of resilience. We see 25 as a year of recovery, where opportunities are diverse.
Experts who spoke during the panel session identified energy cost as a major factor for growth.
Factors that are leading to some moderation in inflation are: one, the price of petrol and diesel, which has not increased further but actually declined. Two, exchange rate stability, which had not gone further than expected. But the most significant element, though, for us was consumer resistance. That consumers now are facing a major trade-off between income effect and substitution effect in their buying power.
Climate change or sustainability is now one of those key factors that global investors look at. And so if you're trying to follow money, follow the money, then I think it's always important that organizations or companies align themselves with sustainability requirements.
We have not just the capacity, but the support structures to help manufacturing businesses. And it goes far above just providing funding. We don't just support manufacturing concerns, we support the ecosystem.
With those professional insights given by experts, it is hoped that the authorities give attention to key areas in order to move Nigeria's economy forward.
To crime news now, and the Nigeria Police is reiterating its commitment to protect vulnerable groups, particularly children, from exploitation and abuse in line with the Child Rights Act 2003. The FCT Police Commissioner, Mr. Olatunji Disu, made the commitment in Abuja while parading a suspected child trafficker who was arrested conveying 59 children to Abuja from Kano. Mr. Disu, who appealed to parents and guardians to remain vigilant and ensure the safety of their children, says the principal suspect, Ali Ibrahim, will be prosecuted once investigation is concluded.
Ordinarily, this J5 bus is designed to convey 18 passengers and goods. In this case, it has allegedly been used for other purposes beyond its intended function. 59 children were allegedly evacuated by the FCT Police Command from this bus.
On 6th January 2025, at about 15:30 hours, a team led by Deputy Superintendent of Police, Sauki Umar, intercepted a white Peugeot J5 with registration number KM 23283ZJ along Abuja-Kano route. The vehicle was driven by one Ali Ibrahim, a male resident of Kano State, accompanied by his motorboy named Al-Azan Ibrahim, also of Kano State. The bus was found to be transporting 59 male children aged between 4 to 12 years old.
The police makes an appeal to parents.
I want to reiterate our commitment to protecting vulnerable groups, particularly children, from exploitation and abuse, in line with the Child Rights Act of 2003.
Pleading innocence, the principal suspect, who spoke in vernacular, explains that he has the consent of the children's parents to transport them to Abuja for the purpose of acquiring Islamic education.
So every year, he usually carry children, but it's the largest children that he has ever carried to come with them.
The children receive immediate help as the senator representing Kano South in the National Assembly shows up to bail them on the grounds that seeking Quranic education is part of their culture.
In the afternoon today, I have a call from one of my local government that there are some people or some small children leaving Kano to Nasarawa State for Al-Majri, and police stop them and start asking them a question, takes them to Asokoro police station. Therefore, I met them at Asokoro police station, asked them a question, and I realized that they all know me, and I know their mission is to go for Quranic education.
As the children make their way to the FCT Social Development Secretariat, the police reaffirms its commitment to protecting vulnerable persons.
Meanwhile, 3 children who were abducted from Bauchi State in December 2024 and then sold in Anambra State have been returned and reunited with their parents. The Bauchi State Governor, Bala Mohammed, used the opportunity to call for stricter punishments for offenders while expressing concern over the delays in the trial of previous abduction cases. Our correspondent, Hajira Aliyu, now reports.
It's an emotional moment as these children, aged between 4 and 6, are reunited with their parents after being abducted in Bauchi by a woman and sold in Anambra in December 2024. This is not the first child abduction case in Bauchi. In January 2024, children stolen from the state and sold in Kano and Anambra states were recovered by the police.
At around 13:00 hours.
The Commissioner of Police provides details on how this set of children were abducted and the efforts made to recover them through the support of the Anambra Police and the government.
The co-tenant who happens to be a new tenant in the house, not more than 5 days, whose identity has not been ascertained, took the children with the consent of their mothers under the pretext of purchasing toys at Gwalameji markets, which was on that day. Since their departure, the co-tenant has failed to return. An effort made by the parents to locate her had been very unsuccessful.
Deeply concerned by this development, Governor Mohammed announces plans to introduce an executive order aimed at enforcing stricter tenant screening measures. However, he expresses frustration over the delays in prosecuting suspects in similar cases.
That's why I'm urging the Attorney General and the judicial family to ensure prompt prosecution of those culprits. Even those who perpetuated the first one that came through Kano, they have not been prosecuted. They should be prosecuted promptly and severe penalties to be given.
One of the suspects remains at large, while another has confessed to purchasing one of the children for 2 million naira in Anambra.
I didn't know that the child has been stolen. I applied for adoption officially to our Ministry of Women Affairs. So that was it. I now met them. They said that they are under the ministry.
The police explains that investigation is still ongoing while urging parents to be wary of those that come around their children. Hajira Aliyu, Channels Television News.
In part 2 after the break, the federal government is set to add another 230 megawatts to the national grid from the Benin Generation Power Asset. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. National Assembly criticizes low implementation of 2024 capital budget. Police arrest a suspected child trafficker allegedly conveying 59 children from Kano to Abuja. Court dismisses Godwin Emefiele's application challenging jurisdiction. And 2 killed, 1,000 structures destroyed as wildfires rage in Los Angeles. In Lagos, a mild drama unfolded today at the Omega Power Ministries located at the Celeb bus stop in Isolo, as tensions flared during a confrontation between members of the church and representatives from the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, LAMATA. Now, the situation escalated when the officials attempted to demolish the church's property for the development of a transport infrastructure. Apostle Chibuzo Chinyere, the general overseer of the church, condemned the action of LAMATA, labeling it as insensitive and carried out without due process or appropriate compensation.
In the heart of the bustling transport hub of Sele Ijesha, the Omega Power Ministry, a Pentecostal church that has been operating for over 5 years, faces imminent demolition. Church's premises, which include the main auditorium, a children's church, and a free primary school, have been earmarked for redevelopment, with demolition already underway. Tensions escalate as heated exchanges erupt between church members and representatives from the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, LAMATA, who are tasked with carrying out the eviction.
Look at this, it's wickedness. They want to demolish. They want to demolish where the children are stranded. Look at the children are stranded. The children are going to school. I don't know. I didn't send her. I know who sent you.
While LAMATA insists that the enforcement is for developmental purposes, church officials expressed dissatisfaction with the compensation offered, alleging that LAMATA has been negotiating with fake representatives of the church.
I am the general overseer of Omega Power Ministries. So it's either the church lawyer, Rosalind Dokobo, or me myself that have authority to negotiate. Development is good, but pay adequate compensation. Not to give a peanut of 120, then you want to come and hijack a place of 900 million. It is pure wickedness. But so that's why I know that His Excellency, Governor Sanwo-Olu, he doesn't know about this.
Despite the commotion, the demolition continues unabated. A consultant overseeing the reinforcement declined to speak on camera, but provided documents including a revocation letter acknowledged by the church, a survey plan, and land ownership documents. These were allegedly part of an agreement reached with the church's lawyer regarding the compensation.
This same person that they sent went to land collect revocation on their behalf.
The person that gave them that does not represent the church.
Then where did she get them?
I don't even know how she got them. That's the point. But the person is not a church lawyer. And she has no authority to transact on behalf of the church.
In response to the situation at Omega Power Ministries, LAMATA maintains that the demolition is necessary for the development of a quality bus corridor. Kola Ojelabi, the head of corporate communications for LAMATA, insists that the compensation reflects the depreciated value of the buildings on the land.
Land belongs to government anyway. And so since government has revoked the land, so we are paying for the property on the land. We have not had any issue like this since we started, all our transport projects. So I believe the amount that we offer, 123 million naira, is just and enough for the property we are acquiring for our transport projects.
as demolition proceeds, the situation remains tense. The church has vowed to seek legal redress and appeal for intervention from the state government regarding the matter.
And now to the courts. Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has made an order of interim freezing and forfeiture of the sum of over 228.4 million naira linked to former governor of Abia State, Theodore Orji, to the federal government on allegations of money laundering. A ruling on an ex-parte motion moved by the Council to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Fadila Yusuf, Justice Nwite also directed the EFCC to make publication of the order on its website and Daily Trust newspaper. According to Justice Nwite's order, interested parties should show cause within 14 days of the publication of the order. The judge subsequently adjourned the matter till February the 3rd for a report of compliance. The anti-graft agency had in the motion ex parte sought an order granting an interim freezing and forfeiture of the sum of the 228.4 million naira domiciled with a commercial bank set out in the schedule attached to the federal government of Nigeria. Now, in her 5 grounds of argument, the EFCC counsel explained that the money described in the schedule was the subject matter of investigation by the agency and found in the possession of FD Nigeria Limited. She said it was reasonably suspected to be proceeds of unlawful activities. Staying with the courts now, the Lagos State Special Offences Court sitting in Ikeja has assumed jurisdiction to hear the allegations of accepting gratification, corrupt demand and receiving property fraudulently obtained made against the former governor of the CBN, that's the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. Justice Romano Shodi, in his ruling delivered today, held that the prosecution, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, successfully established that the court has territorial jurisdiction to entertain counts 8 to 20 of the 26-count charge made against the former CBN governor based on various facts presented in the evidence attached to the case file. The court, however, agreed that with lawyers to Mr. Emefiele that counts 1 to 4 of the charge are unconstitutional as they are not based on any existing laws in Nigeria. On April 8, 2024, the EFCC had arraigned Mr. Emefiele before the court on a 26-count charge bordering on alleged abuse of office and irregular allocation of $4.5 billion and 2.8 billion naira, respectively. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, that's the ICPC, has filed charges against a former Commissioner of Finance in Kaduna State, Bashir Saidu, over alleged financial misappropriation and money laundering. The former commissioner was arrested some weeks ago by the Kaduna State Police Command over allegations of diversion of public funds and later remanded at the Correctional Center in the Kaduna State capital. An assistant legal officer at the ICPC, Osobeni Akpomenisia, filed a case against the former finance commissioner at the Federal High Court in Kaduna. He was charged alongside the staff of the Ministry of Finance, Ibrahim Mukhtar, on a 2-count charge of money laundering. Mr. Saidu served as the Commissioner of Local Government Affairs, the Chief of Staff to Government House, and later Commissioner of Finance under the Nasir El-Rufai administration. In energy news, Nigeria is set to add another 230 megawatts to the national grid from the Benin Generation Power Asset in Yor under the National Integrated Power Project. According to the Managing Director of the company, Mrs. Jennifer Adije, the plant, which has a generation capacity of 451 megawatts, has been undergoing rehabilitation with the first phase capable of delivering 230 megawatts set for operations. Mrs. Adije stated this when she led members of the company's management team to the plant for the final inspection of the asset. Our correspondent, Dele Omoyeni, reports.
The management team of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company of Nigeria is at the Benin Generation Company for a final inspection of the gas-powered plants.
Putting it together, look at the difference. See, this is a former one, this is a new one.
The team inspects various components of the plant, including the turbine units, which has just been restored. The team also gets briefing on the status of each value chain of the plant.
And it is on the casing, on the bearing casing, the one casing. And those are the ones we get. Now, this is the proximity also. This is for bearing one.
We're here at the Benin Generation Company, one of the power plants of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, and we're here as the management of NDPHC to oversee the restoration of two of our generating units. The capacity of the power plant is 450 megawatts. We're not losing sight of the sector-wide target, in line with Mr. President's renewed hope agenda of enabling access to quality, reliable, and affordable electricity.
In this phase, the plant has the capacity to add 230 megawatts to the national grid and commercial clusters in the area.
The restoration of these two units would add additional 230 megawatts to our generation output. Presently, we do know that as the industry transitions to bilateral trading, we already have off-takers and potential eligible customers that are in demand for the energy that we produce, which would also enable us enhance the revenue earning potential of the company. We know that our revenue earning potential is tied to our generation capacity, and therefore central to the vision of this management, we are very keen on accelerating the restoration of all our units across our generating fleets.
The plant, which is set to come on stream soon, is aimed at optimizing the nation's power assets for harnessing access to electricity for vulnerable industries. Dele Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
Right, let's head to the nation's capital now, where Markwe Ogun Yusuf is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Markwe, over to you.
Hello, Ayo. Indeed, we have more from the nation's capital as the Minister of State for the FCT, Hajia Maria Mahmood, is calling on residents to remain vigilant and not give in to fear as security operatives are working tirelessly to ensure safety in the city. She gave this assurance when she visited the scene of the bomb explosion in Kuchibuyi community in Buari Area Council. She says an investigation is already underway and heightened security measures have been put in place to prevent a recurrence.
Let us work with one hand. You understand? Everybody should come together. Let us put on them what we have to support and protect our community. So whatever you see, whether it is suspicious or not, if you see any person coming to your community, make sure you know who that person is. If you suspect anything, make sure you pass it to the appropriate authority. We have our security, we have every person, we have our traditional rulers, we have our religious leaders. They also participate in the community. Community participation is very, very necessary and important.
Still ahead on the news, federal government secures a $254 million loan from China Development Bank for Kano-Kaduna Railway Project. That's on Business News. Please join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10. Former military head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, has paid tribute to the former United States President, the late Jimmy Carter, for his humanitarian services to Nigeria, Africa and other parts of the world, especially in the eradication of guinea worm. He notes that the former president was a beacon of service to humanity, demonstrating to leaders worldwide the profound impact of dedication beyond holding the highest office. General Gowon disclosed this at a press briefing on the life and service of the late Jimmy Carter in Abuja.
He had lived 100 years before he left us, before the Lord called him. But I think in those 100 years, President Carter has achieved quite a lot for his country, United States of America, and also the world in general, and especially for humanity as a whole. Certainly we'll miss him very dearly. His humanitarian activity after presidency, yes, he only had one term as president, and unfortunately for him, the unfortunate incident that created problem for him for his second term But after that, he didn't just sit down and mourn that because he's lost the presidency at that time. He really got into really dealing with human problems throughout the world. And I can assure you, as he went round, he also tried to really also in politics encouraging democracy in the world.
Former military head of state General Yakubu Gowon. We're talking politics now. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, has restated its stance on the recent appeal court judgment on the legal tussle between embattled National Secretary Mr. Samuel Anyanwu and Ude Okoye for the office of the PDP National Secretary. Addressing journalists at the party's headquarters in Abuja, the National Publicity Secretary of the party, Mr. Adebo Ologunagba, states that the party recognizes Mr. Ude Okoye as the authentic National Secretary of the party, as declared by the appeal court. The PDP spokesperson also condemned an attack on journalists covering the party's activities and vows that they will ensure disciplinary measures are taken at the completion of investigations.
The leadership of the PDP has received a very disturbing report that the staff of our party, Mr. Emmanuel Okoronkwo, yesterday assaulted a correspondent of the Sun newspapers, Mr. Ndubuisi Oji, locked out and forcefully prevented other journalists duly accredited to cover the activities of the PDP from gaining access into the premises of the National Secretariat of our party. The PDP, as a party committed to the rule of law and the democratic tenets of freedom of the press, transparency, and openness, strongly condemns and completely dissociates itself from such act of violence and attack on members of the press and the institution of the media. You recall that the Sun newspaper incidentally actually interviewed me on the issue of the Court of Appeal judgment relating to the position of the National Secretary. After consultation with the legal advisor, the Office of Legal Advisor, it was confirmed that we have received the judgment on the two appeals, affirming Right Honorable S.K.E. Ude Okoye as the National Secretary of the party. As rule of law compliant, we will obey the order of court. We will follow the processes and ensure full compliance to the pronouncement of the Court of Appeal, because that is the position as at today.
And that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Ayo, for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you so much, Mark. And now to Akwa Ibom State, where Governor Umar Eno has given assurances of his administration's commitment to provide an enabling environment for investment to thrive. He made this known at the official opening of Premium Trust Bank in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital. Licensed as a commercial bank, the management says it's poised to be the preferred choice by the year 2027 and a leading voice in consumer banking in Africa by the year 2032.
Premium Trust Bank, a leading 21st century financial institution which provides innovative solutions with a promise to make a difference in the life of their customers and host communities, has opened its 19th branch in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital.
Of God the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Its Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Emmanuel Emefianim, says this move is a testament to the bank's unwavering commitment to transform lives through top-notch banking services.
Premium Trust Bank is a bank that is, highly interested in developing individuals, building communities, and creating enabling environments and platforms for people to do business and to also thrive. For us, we are more interested in partnership. We are not just a bank that is there to take business and not impact on the people.
The governor of the state, Umoino, is elated by the development and promises that the state government will continue to sustain the prevailing ease of doing business by ensuring peace and security.
I'm personally impressed, and from what they do, they support youth development, which is really very strategic for me, SMEs, which is strategic for me, and to develop our economy, develop our young people, support SMEs. I think once I find a partner in that direction, it fits into the Arise agenda and we can work with them.
Other top government officials say the ideals of the bank align with the Arise agenda of the present administration.
There is absolutely no doubt that the establishment of the branch of this bank is a response to our efforts in ease of doing business.
The opening of this new branch of Premium Trust Bank is a testament to our commitment, or to your commitment, towards providing access to financial services to all citizens of Akwa Ibom State.
Premium Trust Bank, which began operations in April 2022 with a solid front in Abuja, Lagos and Port Harcourt, Rivers State, has now spread its tentacles to Uyo, Akwa Ibom State.
We have more energy news, and the managing director of the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, Mr. Chijioke Okoke, has attributed the blackout in parts of the Federal Capital Territory to the ongoing road dualization project along the Outer Southern Express area near Apo. He stated that the project requires the relocation of electrical infrastructure, which has led to a temporary reduction in power supply.
I would say that the project actually is for the greater good of Abuja. The project is quite laudable, and I think an inconvenience like this for such a laudable project is something that everyone should be willing to make some level of sacrifice. We are trying our best to make sure that even those band-aid customers, we are able to supply as much as 20 hours. However, I don't think that this little inconvenience will warrant a reset on tariff. But if it becomes necessary, I think working with the regulator, there can be a workaround on how to compensate customers, especially those who become adversely affected. But we don't see that happening. In the days we have had to manage this from Monday till today, we have been able to provide a very high level of response, a very high level of reliability, even above what we had anticipated. Because of the level of network reconfiguration we've had to do to ensure that we can move power around.
The managing director of the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company there, Mr. Chijioke Okoke, speaking on Channels Television Sunrise Daily. Let's now get the very latest from the world of business with Will Ibo. Will.
Thank you, Ayotunde. The federal government has secured a $254.76 million loan from China Development Bank to fund the 203-kilometer Kano-Kaduna Railway. The project will link Kano to Abuja, offering safer and more efficient transportation for residents. Launched in 2021 under former President Muhammadu Buhari, the railway is part of the Lagos-Kano Modernization Plan. It is being constructed by China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation as a key project under China's Belt and Road Initiative. China Development Bank says the project is on track and promises continued loan disbursement. The railway will boost local industries along the route and create jobs once completed. Now, the federal government has confirmed plans to increase telecom tariffs but assures Nigerians it will not be by 100% as requested by operators. The Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Mr. Bosun Tijani, made this known at a stakeholders meeting in Abuja. According to him, the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, is finalizing consultations and will announce the new rates soon.
We've looked at a number of things in terms of how do we ensure that this sector can meaningfully continue to contribute to the development of Nigeria. So some of those things include implementing the executive order around ensuring that we can protect infrastructure, telecommunications infrastructure in the country, driving up significantly local content. But I think most importantly as well is ensuring the sustainability of the companies as well. That as we see inflation across the world, that telecommunications companies, that we don't run them down, we allow them the opportunity to continue to be sustainable so that they can contribute to our economy. You've seen over the past weeks that there's been agitation from some of these companies to increase tariff. They're requesting for 100% tariff increase. This is not something that as a government will be able to subscribe to at the minute. But the work we've done is to commission a study that has helped us to look at how do we drive the sustainability of the sector without inflicting any serious pain on our people. But also, even where we find pains, can we find ways to mitigate this pain so that people don't feel it that much. So that's what this is all about. And yeah, tariff will go up. That's the verdict, but it won't be by 100%. And we're still looking at that study, and NCC will come up with a clear directive on how we go about it, to strike the balance as a government to protect our people, but also protect and ensure that these companies can continue to invest significantly as well.
Sure, we'll definitely have reactions from Nigerians regarding that. Now, Duplo, a provider of technology solutions for African businesses, is highlighting the need for inflation-adjusted compensation packages as inflation and currency devaluation impacts finance employees' pays. The compensation report revealed most employees in finance were dissatisfied with current pay. Mr. Yele Oyekola, co-founder and CEO at Duplo, gave a deep dive into the report on Business Morning earlier today.
What we're seeing this year is that, for me as a tech provider, what would happen is we focus heavily on finance teams. And every single month, we were pitching to businesses, and we're pitching to a new CFO every single month because they're just being replaced. People are just leaving. And just turnover is just, rapid in the industry, or across different industries. And yes, mostly to Japa. Inflation is very high, and it's very difficult for businesses to pass this cost to their customers as well. So it's like a case of businesses can't pay because they're not earning as much, and employees aren't happy at all. And how they're solving for this is by just leaving the country and looking for other jobs that could pay better. People are kind of stuck in their jobs, and that's what led to us telling businesses to actually find ways to adjust for inflation. But like I said, it's easier said than done. But it's very important that with this wave of technology, AI, data, they just need to upskill, or else they will lose their jobs to technology, unfortunately. So yeah, upskilling is very important. We're seeing that a lot of employees actually want to be upskilled, but the businesses aren't helping them do that. I think about 71% showed that over the last 5 years they've done some trainings, but that's dwindled significantly over the last 1 year because of this cost of living issues. So yeah, upskilling is very important. Secondly is just bringing your best self to work.
And speaking of better returns, the domestic equities market made a huge rebound today, recouping losses recorded yesterday. John Mekwa has the details.
Hello, Will. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, after just one negative trading session, the NGX is back, and it's thanks to MTN Nigeria. MTN Nigeria gained 20 naira on each of its stocks today, and to close at 220 naira. So we say congratulations to investors in MTN Nigeria today. Now, there are other contributors to the green market that we had at the close of trade today, and that's looking at the sector. So one of of them is banking. So, banking has been going one way or the other. But today, FBN Holding retained that positive sentiment that it had yesterday, but it's able to move that sector in the green today, 0.55%. In consumer goods recover after 2 negative trading sessions, and it's still Dangote that is driving it, as well as Honeywell Flour. So it's positive today. Meanwhile, oil and gas is still down in the red. Owando is still there, seeing some profit taking. Well, the good news, I think, today is we are not having a boring market after all, because we see the all-share index has moved finally. After about 5 trading sessions, it moved to 104,230.73. Good green we have there, 0.8% at the close of trade. And of course, this brings smiles on the face of the bull.
Thank you, Ini. We're waiting to hit 110. Now let's check in on other major equities now and see a snapshot of their closing numbers. And that's the wrap on business. It's back to you, Ayotunde.
Many thanks, Will. At least 2 people have been killed and many injured as firefighters in Los Angeles battle wildfires around the city, stretching responders to their limits. Here's Simon Puzo with more on this and other international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
Firefighters in Los Angeles say there's no possibility of being able to contain multiple fast-spreading wildfires that are raging around the city. Dramatic footage shows houses ablaze in the Pacific Palisades area and residents abandoning their cars to flee the flames. Here, a McDonald's on fire, and here, a synagogue. High winds are fanning the flames, with experts calling it one of the most significant fire outbreaks in history. Tens of thousands of people have been ordered to evacuate. Planes have been deployed to help try and control the fires. The LA Fire Department warns that the situation remains very dangerous and wind speeds are worsening.
We are not out of danger. The National Weather Service has predicted that the winds are going to pick up and get worse. We're going to have the most significant wind event between 10 p.m. this evening and 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So it's incumbent that everybody have a wildfire action plan for their home if they live in a brush-covered area. Please visit the LA County Fire Department website for ready, set, go information.
I would say it is somewhat surprising to have, such a devastating event in January. I think it's no surprise that we basically have a year-round fire season in California. However, such a destruction on this scale is not often seen in the month of January.
More than 14,000 rescue workers have arrived in Tibet to continue the search for survivors after a strong earthquake killed at least 126 people in a remote part of western China. More than 400 people have been rescued, Chinese state media says, since the quake struck on Tuesday some 50 miles from the base of Mount Everest, destroying thousands of homes. Vice Premier Zhang Guoqing arrived on Wednesday to oversee the operation, which is being hampered by winter temperatures that have dropped to minus 16 degrees. Earthquakes are common in the region, which lies on a major geological fault line, but Tuesday's was one of China's deadliest in recent years. France has said the European Union will not allow other nations to attack its sovereign borders after the US President-elect Donald Trump refused to rule out using military force to seize Greenland. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot told French radio there is obviously no question that the European Union would let other nations of the world attack its sovereign borders, whoever they are.
People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right
to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security.
On Tuesday, Mr. Trump reiterated his desire to acquire the autonomous Danish territory, saying it was critical for national and economic security. The US has accused the Sudanese paramilitary Rapid Support Forces of committing genocide and imposed sanctions on its leader. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, also known as Hemedti, was being punished for his role in systematic atrocities against the Sudanese people during the 20-month conflict. He said the RSF and allied militias were responsible for the murder of men and boys and even infants, as well as brutal sexual violence against women on ethnic grounds. The body of a miner has been recovered from a flooded coal mine in a remote district of India's northeastern state of Assam, 2 days into the search for 9 men trapped below ground. The mine, which is 300 feet deep and has multiple underground tunnels, is thought to have flooded after miners hit a water source. Such mines were banned in 2014 because of the large number of fatalities and the damage caused to the environment. And a Brazilian nun has been recognized as the world's oldest living person at 116 years old by an organization that tracks global supercentenarians. Ina Canabaro Lucas was born on June 8, 1908, and claimed the titles of the oldest living woman and oldest living person following the death of Japan's Tomiko Ituka in December 2024. In addition to her recent recognition, Lucas also holds the distinction of being the 20th oldest person in recorded history.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. The Nigeria Football Federation has mandated new Super Eagles head coach Eric Schell to revive the team's 2026 FIFA World Cup hopes after a struggling start to the qualification series. On Tuesday, the NFF confirmed the 47-year-old Malian as new manager of the 3-time African champions. Well, Schell led Mali to the quarterfinals of the last year's Africa Cup of Nations before he was sacked in June last year. And struggling West Ham United have sacked manager Julen Lopetegui after just 6 months in charge. Now, 2 heavy defeats, that's the 5-0 at home to Liverpool and 4-1 at Manchester City, sealed his fate. The Hammers are close to agreeing a 2.5-year contract with former Chelsea and Brighton boss Graham Potter to take over as the club's manager. United 7 points above the relegation zone, have home league games against Fulham and Crystal Palace next week. France's 2018 World Cup winning coach Didier Deschamps has announced that he will leave the post after the 2026 edition. Deschamps led France to 2 World Cup glory in Russia in 2018 and guided them to the finals of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, where they lost to Argentina. The 56-year-old became one of the 3 men to have won the World Cup, both as a player and as a coach. That's sports. Sam Kelly is back to you today.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. The National Assembly has criticized the low implementation of the 2024 capital budget. And the police has arrested a suspected child trafficker allegedly conveying 59 children from Kano to Abuja. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayotunde Baluko. From all of us here, you have a good night.